Hello everyone, I am back and I'm going to be doing some more traditional art, which a lot of you actually seem to like seeing me do since my first video doing that. So today I want to actually thank OHUHU again for giving me these markers, and they were kind enough to actually sponsor a giveaway for this video. So you'll have a chance to win a set of 48 pastel markers from OHUHU. The set I'm using in the video won't be the same one, but it will have a lot of the same colors included. And I will be picking two winners for that, so stay tuned for when I talk about that later in the video, which I will probably timestamp. So this time around, I sketched them digitally first and then traced them onto the paper just because I'm still not too comfortable sketching traditionally because I can't do the adjustments that I want to do. My plan was to color the top left one. I started recording, and then I stopped recording to adjust the camera, and then I forgot to press record again. So I just completely lost all everything of me working on that first one, which could be a good thing because I was kind of struggling with it a little bit, which means that when I color this one, I will be a bit more prepared. It'll be a smoother watching experience because I struggle less, even though I know some of you like to see me struggle, but I mean, I still do struggle a little bit, alright. So this footage is my second time using alcohol markers or just markers in general, honestly, and I'm definitely going into it a lot more prepared than I was the first time. And not only just because obviously the first time was my first time, but this time I actually had done some swatches to make sure that I was getting a skin color that I wanted and that matched my digital reference. And I was messing around with the combinations that I could do to get the specific undertone that I wanted, which is kind of a warmer, kind of yellowy undertone that someone like Sydney would have, or I guess you could say olivey. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but this character is supposed to have around the same shade of skin as Sydney, so I was like, okay, this is a great opportunity, and I could go back and use this same combination for Sydney too if it ends up working out. And if you saw on my swatching page, I also did some combinations on layering to get the deeper skin tone that Isabella has, which I will be using as a reference next time I try drawing her in the sketchbook. But for now, I'm just gonna fill this page up with this new character. So in my first markers video, I said something like, oh, I probably won't be doing a lot of traditional art, yada yada yada. But then here I am doing more traditional art, and my next couple of videos will probably be even more traditional art because at the moment that I am recording this voiceover, I have a ton of new footage. I've done another 3 pages in my sketchbook with these markers, and so I'm actually enjoying using them a lot more than I thought. What I like about them is that when I do traditional art in the sketchbook doing markers, I can create a piece that I can kind of call finished and also be away from the screens for a little bit. You know, it's kind of like a change of setting because I also sit at a different desk than my computer desk when I do this. And it's just a nice change of environment, a change of pace also when it comes to creating art that I have kind of found really nice. I guess my only gripe about traditional art at the moment is that it requires a little bit of cleanup afterwards of putting the markers back and stuff and organizing them back to how they were so that the specific colors are easier to find according to the swatches, all that. But enough about that. I want to talk about how I did so much better this time around than my first time. So if you're new here or you didn't know, I'm primarily a digital artist and I rarely ever do traditional art outside of college assignments. But a month or two ago, OHUHU gave me these markers and they challenged me to draw something with them. Even though I warned them, like, I've never tried markers, I don't do traditional art, it might look really bad. I kind of struggled through my first time. I'll link the video in the description. I was pretty excited to do this second time around because I was like, I have to do better. I am determined to do better. And I definitely think I did. One of the first things I noticed when I started coloring is that I was definitely less hesitant with using the markers than I was the first time because I have a better understanding of how they work now and how they blend and all that, how they layer. And so I was a bit more confident with what I was doing and I was less scared to mess it up. And I feel like working with alcohol markers really just forces you to trust the process and not give up on it because it's inevitable that you're gonna run into like a really ugly phase when working with alcohol markers where you're like, how on earth is this gonna look better because it looks terrible right now or it looks weird, but then you add some finishing touches and then it just does look good, like it looks better and you're like, what the heck happened? But yeah, it's like magic and it's kind of really fun to see and do because with digital art you start with a sketch, then you line it and the layers get to separate everything. You can do so much adjustments in between steps. But I've found that at least with my current marker process where I color over the sketch and then line above the colors, I really just have to trust the process and hope that when I add any dark lines or any dark colors in general, it's just gonna look good. And so far I've found that as long as the sketch is pretty good already, then it should turn out fine. But if the sketch isn't great, or if I'm not feeling great about it, I'm gonna have a lot of doubts during the process and I might not be able to get it to a point where I myself like it. I do eventually want to try out a process where I line the sketch and then color it afterwards, but the first time I did that, the marker smudged the lines, and I'm not sure if it's because I wasn't using like OHUHU brand pens to line it because I was just using like typical micron, or if I just didn't let it dry enough. I haven't done like more experiments with it yet, but I will in the future so that I could see if I could try that out because it's a little scary working with markers and then you do like the first layer and suddenly the sketch just like disappears under it and you're like, oh my god, like where are my guidelines? So I am very interested in seeing how lining it first could turn out for me because I've seen people do it successfully where it doesn't smudge and stuff, and you could kind of stay a little more true to how the sketch looked and felt. Because when I was lining this after I colored it, I definitely kind of like messed up a little bit. I made her jaw like more angular than I wanted it to be. And there's no going back with traditional art. I can't, like, I'm a person who likes to do a lot of overpainting in digital art, and I can't exactly do that here because I'm not working with paint. But I do think this first one still turned out really great. I like it a lot better than the second one. But before we get into the second drawing, I want to talk about the giveaway really quick. So if you want to join the giveaway, just follow OHUHU's official YouTube channel and also their Instagram. And lastly, comment below what you plan to do with the markers. Are you going to fill up your sketchbook? Or you can even tell me just why you want them in general. Either one. I'm going to pick 2 winners in a week or longer, so watch out for that because I will be replying to you if you do win. So go check out OHUHU's other stuff too. Their markers are honestly really great quality. I've been really enjoying working with them. And I believe they've just restocked a bunch of their stuff. And I also have a discount code, which is OHUHU, that you can use for 10% off of anything in the store. So yeah, once again, thank you OHUHU for hosting this giveaway and good luck to everyone who joins. And now on to the second drawing. So the thing about the second one was that I actually wasn't all that confident about the sketch. Like I kind of didn't like how it turned out after tracing it from my iPad. And I think I might have mentioned it before, but that's kind of where something happens to me where my initial dislike of the drawing kind of clouds my judgment a little bit. Like it prevents me or hinders me from being able to improve the drawing while coloring because I didn't have a lot of faith in the sketch itself. And I start to tell myself stuff like, oh, I didn't really like the drawing and I don't like how it looks now, which means I'm not gonna like how it looks later and I don't know how to make it look better. Like the mental gymnastics just aren't allowing me to improve upon what I'm seeing, and it's like kind of annoying. And I wish I could stop myself from thinking like that, but I don't know how to. But I guess the first step is self-awareness, and I'm getting there, you know, maybe I'll find a way. I don't know, does this happen to you guys too, or is it just like a me thing where your initial dislike for a drawing or a sketch just like keeps nagging at you even though you are trying to persist in making the drawing better, but then it just like it's just staying in the back of your head and like secretly you're like, I actually hate this drawing. But I guess the best thing to do when that does happen is to just start over from scratch and, you know, start with a blank slate and just redraw it so that your mind is like free of that dislike. In the case of this footage though, I didn't, there's no way I'm gonna redraw this because I was like, I don't want to start a new page. You know, like, I'm like, I don't feel like redrawing it, so I might as well just like color it anyway and see what happens. You know what I mean? With this one, I think I did approach it a little differently than the first one. I think the initial shadows that I put down were a lot darker and more saturated than the ones that I used for the first one, which allowed me to just lay down the shadows a lot earlier. I didn't have to go back in and add or like retouch the shadows after setting down the base color. And it is pretty amazing how good markers look when you really take advantage of layering. I feel like my coloring technique now has gotten better, but in this video it still needed a little bit of work. Like I was still doing quick strokes instead of taking it slow to make sure that it wasn't patchy. But like that first like base layer of skin looks so muddy and like kind of gross, but then the second layer, the one that is a more saturated color, really starts to look good. Then you introduce black into it and you're like, wow, it looks normal, you know? And yeah, there's just something really satisfying too about laying down the black lines and seeing it come together. I just kind of wish that she looked like the same person, because she doesn't. She looks like a completely different person in this second drawing. For the most part, the way I approach coloring these is still kind of like the same mindset that I have when I do digital art. Like not too much shading, kind of the same style. But in a future video, I do kind of lean more into semi-realism type of thing. I don't know if that's what you would actually call it, but you'll see. If you go on my Instagram, you can see a preview of it a little bit with my reels and how I shaded those. Like I spent way more time touching up the shadows, layering, and trying to blend things out than I did with these two, because these two I took it on with a more cartoony approach. And who knows what I might like. Who knows? I might just like keep doing them both. I do definitely want to draw this character more though. Like her color scheme of her skin color complementing her hair color. It's tickling my brain a little bit, you know? I'm like, I want to draw her more. I don't have a name for her yet. I was thinking something like Sienna, because in the past I had a character that I had named Sierra, and she also had red hair, and I kind of discontinued her. Like I haven't drawn her, and I'm like, maybe I could like retcon it and say that this is her now. You know, like a redesign, I guess. But this character is essentially supposed to be Jules's love interest. I randomly made her up when I wanted to draw Jules with another girl and like showcase it in one of my classes. I was like, I should develop her more. I should give her a personality because kind of as I always start in creating an OC, I just draw an initial idea like, oh, I want her skin color to be this, I want her hair color to be this, and I want her vibe to be this. And her dynamic with Jules is kind of be like she's a little flirty and a lot more outgoing, and Jules isn't. Jules is a more reserved person. She's kind of like, she usually doesn't let people get under her skin. She usually doesn't show a lot of emotion, and if she does, it's like annoyance. But I want this girl, whatever I decide to name her, and let me know if you have any suggestions. I want her to be that person that kind of like actually flusters Jules and like makes her blush and actually gets to her, and kind of like, I don't know, like she's kind of, I don't know how to explain it, like her aura I don't know, or she's overbearing in a good way where she could break down Jules's defenses and like actually get to the real Jules, like the Jules that can be emotional and flustered and romantic. And yeah, like that's the best way that I can explain it. They have that type of dynamic. So for her name, yeah, Sienna or Sierra, whatever. For some reason I want it to start with an S. I tend to do that. I just tend to pick one letter and I go off of that. We'll see what I name her. If you guys have suggestions, let me know, because I'm really bad with names and I don't know what else to talk about. So I'm gonna kind of just talk about the footage I lost, I guess. So that top left drawing of her, the one that I lost the footage of, that's actually a really old digital sketch that I had of hers that I never really did anything with. I didn't even color it, and I wasn't sure if that's how I wanted her to look yet at the time, but I think when I decided to draw her for this page, I was just like, yeah, whatever, let's just go for it. And I'm so upset that I lost the footage because I was trying out all the colors, experimenting, seeing what looks good, what doesn't look good. And it was good footage, you know. It would have been nice to see me struggle and adjust to getting used to the markers a little bit. Like, guys, I'm not an expert on markers. I mean, I feel like it's pretty evident, right? My technique is all over the place. Like, I don't want to make it seem like I know what I'm doing, because I don't. I'm just so annoyed with myself that I keep like doing this where like either I forget to record, or I think I'm recording and then in actuality I wasn't, because either my phone runs out of battery or my phone runs out of storage, or I forgot to press the record button. And I just wish that I was better at recording. Luckily I have footage right now. Like, I've already recorded footage for the next couple of videos, and all I have to do is talk over them. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of struggling a little bit to talk these days. It's kind of like the step of the editing process that I kind of dread the most, even though it's the most important part of these videos, because I'm like, what do I talk about? Do I just answer questions? Sometimes I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again, where I'm like, oh, I'm using the color yellow, I'm using the color red. Like, I'm like, what do I talk about with my process? I mean, do you as a viewer even want to hear me talk about what I'm actually doing in the video? Or do you just want to hear me talk in general? I've tried to ask for like video topics and stuff like that. Maybe I'll just, I don't know, do a Q&A or whatever. What's coming in the future is I drew one of my D&D characters just real quick, and it was kind of an experimental thing where I sketched her and then I drew her twice, and I was experimenting with how I can color. So maybe I could, I don't know, Q&A D&D a little bit. I don't know. I've just been really enjoying D&D lately, and I love to talk about it. So I might do like a post about that because some people have been saying like, "Oh, I want to hear you talk more about D&D." So maybe I'll do that. I mean, it's not totally art related, but hey, I would be drawing my D&D character, so it's not completely irrelevant either. And then the second one, which I think a lot of people are really gonna love, I drew a page of Miles Morales. It's like I drew him 3 times, and I really dislike one of them, but the other two I absolutely love. So you will see that. I don't know when the next time I'm gonna do a digital art video. I haven't really been touching digital art a lot, but I kind of will be forced to because the semester is starting. I'm going to be doing class assignments, and I'm probably just going to record me working on my class assignments and make a video on that. And then maybe I can talk about college in one video. I don't know. You guys can let me know in the comments, whatever. I guess the video is almost done, so don't forget to join the giveaway. Follow OHUHU on YouTube and Instagram, and let me know why you want the markers or what you will do with them if you do win. I'm running out of things to say, as I always do in literally every single video on my channel. I will see you guys next time. I hope you've enjoyed watching and listening. So yeah, goodbye.